All right, we are live with a very special guest of mine. It's King Lee. Am I saying it right, Lee?
Lei actually,
Lei?
like the
Okay,
Hawaiian flower lei. Yeah.
nice. King Lei, and he is the founder of Punch King. I had one of his coworkers on the show early before, but I wanted to bring King on because he's the founder of this and share his story of success in the last little bit. King, welcome to the show, my man.
Joe, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, just to share with all the listeners and everybody watching, where are you from originally?
I am a native San Franciscan. Not too many of us around here. Taiwanese is where Taiwan's where my family's from. But again, I was born and raised here in San Francisco.
Oh man, cool. Very unfortunate news about Taiwan that they just had today. Did you hear about that?
No, actually, I've been so busy. What happened?
Yeah, there was a major like train crash in Taiwan.
Yeah,
Yeah, so unfortunate. But
yeah. I'll have to check up on that after I get off.
yeah, but I mean, you came here. I guess family immigrated to the U.S.
Yeah, so my dad came here first. He a long time ago, like 65, 70s, and worked. Then he sent for my mom and my brothers to come over afterwards. So immigrants from Taiwan.
Okay, so how'd you start the hustle from a young age? I want to start it from the very beginning.
Basically, it was my dad, right? My dad's always been, he's always had a few jobs. We've always had a business too. So we kind of started out in a secondhand moving company that he started way back when in San Francisco, Chinatown. And he had with five boys in the family, no girls. So I have four other brothers. So put them to work, right? So he started using them. He did locksmith there. So he did a lot of stuff in there, and he was actually one of the head bartenders in the Fairmont Hotel over here in the Crown Room too. Um, that's for another story. I don't know how an immigrant came to be one of the head bartenders in one of the most fanciest hotels at the time back then in Fairmont. But he did that. So I just learned from him. I was kind of like his sidekick growing up, and I did everything with him. Watched, learned. He instilled a lot of values in me, ethics and stuff. So that's pretty much where that started. Was the entrepreneurship kind of started from there, and from there I've always done little things. Always at a young age I've always done things. Paper routes. Just whatever to make money because these days aren't like when we grew up where our kids have everything. They don't understand anything trying to go get quarters to play in the video machine or buying a candy over there. They get everything they want. They don't know the struggle that we've had to go through. I'm 48 now, so
Yeah,
it was a while back, but things are good now.
I hear that. So what would you say? What would say your first foray into business have been? What was the first business or that you'd say was legitly yours that you created?
Man, well, so I think the first one was my brother actually used to work at a appliance store doing deliveries of delivering appliances and stuff like that. So he got me a job there, and that's where my first job was just cleaning the appliances. I just wipe them down. You're talking about I was like 12, 13, getting like $60 or something, and that was huge money. I was balling at the time. I was like, man, this is good, right? But I worked for that company for a long time, and toward the as I got older, um, the owner saw that I was really kind of mechanically inclined, good with my hands and stuff. So I got into doing installs. So installing gas stoves, gas lines, plumbing and everything at an early age. But now we're talking about 18. He said, okay, well, why don't you go and start your own business, so basically it was KO, appliance installation and repair, and that was my very first one. So I started that, and it was actually really good money. You're talking about he's getting $100 for installing a dishwasher, a couple hundred for water lines, delivering. It's not easy work though, but
Hmm.
it was good money. So that was kind of where that all started, was just my very very first business run. Then at the same time I was still going to college, and I I graduated college late. I wasn't one of those that went high school all the way to college right away. I went later in life, kind of did classes here and there. So I was probably on a 10-year path to get my degree, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, when I graduated from there, I went into tech. and that's when tech was huge, at the time. And I guess a quick fun story, which isn't that fun to me, but when I was in the industry, I was coming out, graduating. One of my buddies was working for a company, and I was looking for a job in tech, new, and he said, "Oh yeah, you want to come work for us? You're kind of going to be doing grunt work, pasting icons and stuff like that." And I'm like, and another job offer came in another space, and I thought it was a lot more appealing at the time, and um, I passed it up, and little to know that that was AOL, right? So yeah, the janitor was getting shares and everything, and basically they were just getting off the ground. My buddy was in there; he cashed out huge money, and I was like, oh my god, yeah. So that's a, like I said, fun story, but not that fun at the same time. But you never know. Everyone is set on a path, for a reason,
Yeah.
as they go through life. So um, that was kind of like, I've always been in tech myself.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm still an integration system engineer for a healthcare supply chain company
Okay.
myself. So that's my day job that pays for all of my, I wouldn't say hobbies, but now side jobs. And hoping Punch King won't be a side job. That will be a main job as I go along. But you got to
Yeah.
pay the bills. You have kids, like you said, so health benefits are huge. So
For
you
sure.
can't really let any of that go until we have a fully good foothold on, okay, yeah, the business is going good. It looks like we're going to be good, but still
Yeah.
have to pay the bills at the same time. So you gotta hustle.
For sure. So go back to I think your first grunt job when you were young. Any lessons you took away from that, from starting your own hustle when you were that young?
I think that the only lesson was when you have money like that at a young age, you kind of just keep going and doing it, right? I don't regret my life, but if I would have just took the school path and went to school and high school to college and graduated. But the time I was making really good money for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. I was getting maybe 35, $40,000 part time. And
Yeah.
that was great money. It's like, why do I want to leave that? Why do I want to do anything else, right? But you have to evolve. So the only lessons that I see is like you have to really really see what choose your path wisely. There's no wrong path, but looking back in hindsight, just looking at it, like, yeah, I should have went to school, because that's blue collar work. That's back
Right.
breaking hands, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's an honest living. A lot of people
Sure.
still do this to this day. So I never thought I could ever leave that job, but when I got into tech and I started sitting by the computer and just doing that, I'm like, man, I'm making like double the amount of money that I did then, and I'm not sitting down going under, seeing rats underneath the
Yeah. Yeah.
dishwashers or behind the fridges, So yeah, it's
Yep.
I mean that's one lesson. It's just money at an early age can change you
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
You never know what path you take.
Yeah, and I think that's the trap a lot of people fall into, as well, as when you get a nice comfy, you get cash early and you're young and you don't evolve yourself like you said
Yeah,
when you get that much cash up when you're early.
yeah.
You mentioned that you also in the hospitality, was it, industry?
Food, yeah.
Food.
So again, I've always had my job. So there was a hot dog store over in by Berkeley, Cal Berkeley. It's called Top Dog, and that was kind of the go-to place after the clubs and you're done, you're drinking, you go over there, you drive over there, and they had the most amazing like gourmet sausages and everything. Everyone drove over there. So San Francisco, after you club, you drive over the bridge, go over to Oakland, and you go to a place called Top Dog. And I at the time I was like, man, how come we don't have one of these in like San Francisco? We gotta keep driving to Oakland. So a location opened up over here in San Francisco. It was like a little small building that housed a concession trailer, and they were doing crepes. And I saw it a long time ago, and I ate there actually. And at the time, I was out at Craigslist. I was heavy in Craigslist. I was like always looking at stuff, seeing either like
Yeah.
storefronts or whatever, anything cheap that you come up. So that location came up, and it looks like the guy there, the crate guy, was going out of business. And I was like, hey, yeah, I like that spot. So I basically just I signed the lease, not knowing anything about food, nothing at all, right? So I just signed it. I sat on it for 6 months, trying to figure out where to get hot dogs, where to buy this, how to do this. So again, 6 months went by. Now a year went by, and I think I paid all the rent and everything. And we finally got it open, and that company is called What's Up Dog. So that was mine. We had about 15 locations in the Bay Area, and we signed a master franchise lease with someone in Russia before. So um, that was my major next step, we thought we were going to be like, worldwide. What's up,
Yeah.
dog? Great name. We had a great concept. I totally flipped what I did with Top Dog, the one in Berkeley. They were kind of like a hole in the wall. They just did things simple. I added French fries. I added corn dogs. I made fancy names. Before all the Japa dogs and all those
Yeah.
guys came
Yeah.
around, I was there before them. And I started
Yeah.
doing all these crazy dogs and everything too, but not the seaweed Japanese style. But I had my own versions of it. And we had little stores. So I kind of look back and say I wish I would have just stopped at store number 3
No
because
way.
leases were small. Leases were cheap. Business was good. They were in really small areas, and we were in like financial district downtown. And lines were going around the block. I mean, we were just
No way.
lunchtime. Everyone's just coming up, getting dogs, getting French fries, order dogs, couple corn dogs. It was amazing. It was a good time. But ambition gets the best of you, and you're
Oh,
like,
for
okay,
sure.
we're gonna franchise this thing. We're gonna go big, and we went into a couple of malls. And I can say now, I think I've spent about $1 million on 2 malls to open them up, and that was when the bubble bursted with the housing market. Everything
Mm.
tanked. I closed those stores in less than maybe 8 months, and
After
that was it
opening.
after opening. So a mil,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
gone. That hurt. That hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe to this day I'm still feeling the effects of some of that financial burden there. But
Oh, for sure.
it's just resiliency, and I just you just keep going. You just keep going.
Dude, what gave you the passion to want to? Because I resonate with that so much because I went from one location to 5 locations at one point, and now I'm back down to one, given the whole
Yeah,
circumstances with everything.
yeah, yeah.
What was that drive that got you to say, man, let's go bigger, let's go bigger?
It was the concept one. You feel like everyone feels like they have a good concept, right? Okay, what's up, dog? Catchy name. Oh, we got the menu items. Easy, simple, but yet creative, innovative kind of thing. So right away you immediately think franchise, and some
Hmm.
people with it, like I said, if I would have just stopped at 3, I could have been rich. You know, but you kind of go for the big picture. You want to go for more and more and more. And
Yeah,
again, during that time, looking at franchises, the subways are opening up thousands and everything. Like, I just need like 5% of it. I'll take
yeah,
100 stores, across the United States. But it just wasn't in the cards. A lot
sure.
of it was certain partnerships that I have. That's a whole different conversation we can have later for
Yeah,
hours.
yeah,
Just getting in, with friends as that turns into partners. And the whole idea was all mine pretty much. I came up with it, and I thought, and I put up all the money, and then I brought a couple friends in because you bring in the homies. All right, let's all
yeah,
mess around,
yeah,
let's sell some hot dogs and stuff. And then all of a sudden they see the potential, and now they have a voice. And at the time I had brought in a VC, a junior VC, to come in and say, hey, yeah, we love the idea, but they wanted almost equal shares, right? Well, King,
mm,
we can guarantee that we'll get you to 50 stores, or
sure.
for about, a little less than 50%. My partners are like, why are we going to give up that much? I'm like, well, you want to keep 100% of 3 to 4 stores, or do you want 50% of 100 stores or 50 stores, right? And I don't know, they just didn't get it, and that kind of started the downfall
Yeah,
from there
yeah,
too. So again, I only say these. I don't want to talk too much about all that stuff, but
sure.
the kind of lessons that kind of mold who I am. I don't know everything. I still don't know. I probably don't know much at all in my head. Everyone always thinks, oh, I know everything, but man, I'm still learning every day. I'm still kind of, pitfalls, things that come up.
Love
It,
that.
it's yeah, it's a grind, but you just keep growing. You just
So
keep
King,
growing.
King, I want like pull apart that. There was a lot of stuff there. You talked about you wanting to stay. Now that you've kind of look in hindsight, you want it to be smaller. Couple things I heard: partnerships, got to be careful about. Number two, you had grand visions and also ownership stake into the companies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like giving that away rather than keeping it 100% under your control. What would you say out of all those things was the biggest lesson you took away from that whole "What's Up, Dog" experience?
Expansion, one, opening too many stores too fast, not being able to handle that. As like I said, the partners that I had was friends. They did so much, but they didn't do so much, right? So I was pretty
Yeah,
much hands-on steering the ship, from beginning to end. So I really had no help, in that sense, because I basically, maybe you might feel the same way. It's hard to let go of control
Hmm.
of certain things, and when you go too big, maybe your gym, you're at your gym and your gym's doing fantastic, but you have managers at your other gym. You don't know what they're doing. Sometimes, and they're not doing it the way you want to do it, right?
Yeah,
You want to train in a certain way. You want to open a certain way. You want to clean the mats. You want to clean the bags every single day, but they're not doing it, right? So that management piece kind of, when you
sure.
5 stores, I'm sure you felt it. Like, it gets to be a certain thing, a certain grind, as you say, to be able to manage every single piece of your business. It's hard.
Not being able to control it all. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
so financial crisis hits. You dropped $1 million into these two stores. What was that time?
Family
Well,
money, friends, just personal. So a lot of it, we never really got like major investment. It was all like, friends and family, and that really hurt. To let family down, to let friends down that invested in everything. It's like, man, it sucks. And then you go through a time of, some depression. Like, the hell did I do? So at that point, what do you do? Do you know buck up and keep going, or do you just want to sit there and cry about it and, drink and, do whatever people do,
yeah,
they do when they get into a state like that, right? So for me, I know, I think it just all goes back to my dad, and everything I saw him, and a lot of family things that I've had to go through, deaths in the family, brothers dying, you know uh, my mom and brother kidney issues and stuff like that. So I couldn't sit there and just say, I'm done. I don't want to deal with none of it. I don't want to deal with anybody. I had a family to take care of. I had to make sure that they were okay too. So a lot of external factors, not just the business part, but the external family factors, and again, borrowing for money and stuff like that. It takes a toll on a
mhm,
person. I probably might write a book one day, of everything I've been through. There's too much. Yeah, sorry, I probably ramble because
it's all
there's
good.
so much to try to get into interview, but I don't want to get sidetracked at the same time.
But like it sounds like you dealt with a lot in the last I would say what 20 years, because from
Yeah,
financial crisis to now you clawed your way out of this,
yeah,
and you've
yeah.
kind of embarked on this new venture. Talk to me about how this started, Punch King.
So Punch King kind of started. So I've done Muay Thai on and off throughout my life. I probably had one amateur fight, and that was it. I was like, I'm not doing this again. Am I crazy? I think I was like 28 or 30, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I putting myself through this punishment? So now it's just been like just for fitness. That's
Yeah.
all, right? Um,
Dude, it's like the same story as me. I've always wanted to start a fight team, but I realized most people don't want to get kicked in the head. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I, I won the bout, but the guy kicked the shit out of my legs, and my legs weren't on this condition as some of those Thai fighters you see out there, or anybody, right?
yeah,
And after the fight, after the adrenaline's gone, it kicked in. Like, oh my god, I was like limping. You put me in a
yeah,
wheelchair, kind of thing,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, man, this is brutal. I am yeah, I can't go down this road, So it just turned into fitness. So just recently, so I have a daughter. She's 7 now. At the time of 5 years old, one of my buddies said, "Oh, this Muay Thai crew Sam over at World Team USA. He's doing like a kid and parent kind of class together." So I was like, "Oh, that'd be kind of cool." My daughter, I want her to learn and protect herself, for one, and learn some respect at the same time, at a young age. So we went to the class. I took her, and that's when I started, working out again. Getting on the heavy bag, and that's where the idea of just taking a regular punching bag, and I was like, it needs something. Something's like missing. And what if I just cut it up a little bit? So that's kind of it started stewing in my head. I started thinking about it, and then next thing you know, I go home. On the kitchen wall, I got huge rolls of brown paper, and my wife's like, "Oh shit, what the hell are you doing now?" Because she's been through all my little ideas and everything I've gone through in life, and then I had the whole wall, and I drew out punching bags. I'm over here hitting the wall and doing like phantom kicks on. It's like, okay, how's this curve gonna work? How's this gonna work? And that's kind of how it started. I still have the drawings, that I first made of the first bags and everything. So that's where it came from. I started to I brought it to a couple of my crews. kind of said, hey, what do you think of this idea? Because in this day and age, one thing I learned was non-disclosures, making sure everything's right. I didn't tell anybody about this project,
Hmm.
anybody. I'm kind of the type of person, like, I'll just spend my money and just do it. I'll do the designs, the CAD drawings. I started working with manufacturers overseas to get the first ones made. Um, and for me, I got the first prototype made. Right, it took about a year.
Hmm.
And that first prototype, I don't know if you see, it's a white bag. That's probably in some of my videos. I think it probably cost like $25,000,
Yeah.
just to make that one there. But that was the first one that started the whole thing, right?
Oh
Um,
man. So
so
what sparked
yeah.
it? Like, was it? Did you feel there was a hole? Like, so you personally, as you were training, and you realized there was a hole in the marketplace for these bags, and you're just like, something needs to be fixed with these bags.
No, it wasn't. Nothing really sparked it. It was just an idea. Well, one big thing was, again, I always have ideas and stuff. I started making this a foam roller idea. It's a foam roller slash perfect push-up bar, a foam roller that was stationary, that didn't move, so you can kind of go over it, kind of thing. So I spent like 5 grand doing the drawings and everything for it. And one of my buddies, he's a really rich guy in lighting. He makes all kinds of lighting. He's a lighting manufacturer. He has several manufacturing plants in China. So I went to him and said, "Hey, look, I know you have connections over in Shenzhen, where everything's made. I want to make this thing." He goes, "King, I'm just going to let you know, you got about 30 pieces here, and every single piece is a mold, and each mold will cost you anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000 just to make a mold to make that piece." And I was like, "Oh." Threw that out the door. I got a nice drawing of it, right? And I'm like, okay, that I so again, that's kind of growing pains of trying to go into a area of production and manufacturing that you know nothing about. So I learned quickly, like, okay, that's not the way to go. So going back to the bag, I'm like, it's just a bag. It's
Yeah.
just some sewing, right? Can't be no molds or anything like that. So I was correct in that sense, but it still wasn't that easy. I mean, just trying to find a manufacturer to make the bag, nobody wanted to touch it. So I got my patents and pending and everything going like
Yeah.
that. A lot of them. I think I feel okay that I don't think anyone will want to try to make this bag
Sure.
because it's really, really difficult. I mean, a lot of them are like, no, we don't want to touch that. We don't want to touch that. And even when I went through the process, I'm like, they sent me my samples. I'm like, this is all off. You're
Yeah.
wrong. You're wrong. But the one manufacturer that the designer found for me, stuck through it and stuck with me, and we finally got like I said, the first white and black prototype made. So it was a long road to
Yeah.
get there for the whole year. And again, going back to the NDAs, I basically, you talked to Henry, one of my
Mm.
partners, and when I first met him, he asked me, oh, what I was up to. I was like, I'm doing something, but I can't tell you 6 months. And then he hit me back up, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, my patent's pending, everything's in motion, I have it. So I showed him it, and he came on, he saw it, and he's not in the fitness industry himself, but he had a lot of connections to a lot of people, like Grandmaster Harry Mock, which is one of our brand ambassadors. Um, he was in like Rambo and a bunch. He's a producer and everything,
Yeah.
and he brought it to him, and Harry was like, "Oh my God, this is a amazing bag. You did great," because he said, personally, I hold about 15, 20 patents myself. He's got like spinning swords, because he's a old martial arts master, right?
Yeah.
And he's got flying some kind of special stars or something, and those kind of patents are good, but not a lot of people are gonna buy it. And he said, well, if this is your first one out the gate, you did a good job, And then he came on as ambassador, and it was actually humbling to have someone like him say, wow, this looks really good, and that kind of set me on my path to keep going. And the second person that we kind of came by chance by another meeting. And that's another thing, is I don't ever decline meetings with people, because you never know where it's going to
Yeah.
take you.
For sure.
Some people might be too pig-headed or too snobbish, like, nah, it's cool, I'm not going to go there. And then there's times where I feel like I do say that, like, oh, nah, I'm good, but I end up telling I kind of put it back in my head, like, hey, you never know what opportunities around the corner. And we went to this thing that Henry set up, and it was for something else, but that's when Kung Lee was there. And then we
Yeah.
saw Kung, we're like, oh my God, "Hey, Kang, how's it going?" And the funny thing is, Henry, he loves to, kind of sales, kind of more of a salesy kind of guy, and he said,
Yeah.
"Hey, Kang, you want, and we had the bags in the car. And, hey, Kang, you want to come out to the van to see the bag?" So, this is one of those things, one of those stories, kind of like a garage story. Like when we pull it out the van, he looks at it, and right away he was like, "I love it." So he
Yeah.
came on board also, so that's where Kang kind of came on board
Oh
with
man,
Punch King.
dude,
So yeah, it's fun
dude,
stories.
crazy stuff. It looks like you take opportunities and you just go with it. So that's the thing I think about entrepreneurship, which is so important. Is just like a lot of people sit there deliberating the idea, but you go out and actually make it happen. So you got Punch King now started. Like, what's the big goal for you guys with this? Like, I want you to share kind of what your vision is and where Punch King is gonna go and where you want to take it.
I just want to sell a shit ton of bags. That's all. No. Yeah. Well, everything kind of just develops as we're going along. COVID kind of locked us down a lot, so we had the first bags, which was the heavy bags, right? And I learned so much. I think COVID actually, unfortunately, I hate to say a blessing, but it was a blessing for us because I'm that type of person that just keeps going and going and going. But it forced me. I had no choice, just like yourself. It forced us to slow down and rethink and recalibrate. Either, oh, I'm just gonna close for you. I'm just gonna close my gym. It's not gonna work. COVID's beat us. But you didn't. You're still there. You're still standing. You're still pushing. Same for us. It's like we got the heavy bags. Okay, what can we do? Okay, well, what's the big thing about this industry that's so hard? Shipping these bags are crazy. I mean, it's crazy
Yeah.
expensive to ship a 120-pound bag that's 6 feet long. FedEx, UPS it just drives you crazy. So the wall mounts kind of came into play. All foam, maybe 40 to 50 pounds. Space saving, which is one, because we saw you see the uppercut bags that they had. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
I could just cut my bag up and make a wall mounted version. So that's where the wall mounting came in, and then the freestanding bags, which we see now are kind of the big kind of popular ones that people want because kickboxing is a huge industry. And in your
Yep.
gym, I'm sure you probably can agree with me that your MMA fighters, the one that really fight, you make money off of them on certain trainings, but that's not the bread and butter. Your bread and butter is
Hmm.
going to be the person that's just starting out with I hate to always say women, but women
Yeah.
do a lot of cardio kickboxing, and you have 30 to 40 in one class on the freestanding bag, and those are ACH payments every month. They're going into
Yep.
your bank because it's a recurring revenue, right? Because they don't stop. So we saw the freestanding market. We're like, okay, we're going to make the same bag in the freestanding model, but that was actually challenging because we had to find the. Now we get back into molds and
Yeah.
plastic and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? But I learned, through what I learned through manufacturing and the people out there, I was able to source certain manufacturers to make it for us at a lot cheaper price. Let's just say in the
Yep.
beginning. So I have different versions in mind for the new ones that I want to go next year. But everything's locked down. I can't really travel. I don't want to
Yep.
go and quarantine for 2 weeks to a month anywhere in any country, even though I want to go really bad because I'd like to be hands on with these people
Yeah.
and talk to them. But everything's Zoom, remote. Remote.
For
It's so
sure.
hard, and the language
For
barrier
sure.
sometimes is really tough.
For sure. I think like the culmination of everything that you've taken in your entire life, like all the obstacles, gave you actually a ton of knowledge and even the courage to even go out and do stuff like this and going out and reaching out to suppliers in another country and everything and all your connections. King, if anybody wants to learn more about the Punch King or you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, if you go to our website, punchkingworld.com, we have all our information there. Me personally is it's the same thing, king at punchkingworld.com. Any questions about our products, just hit us up, let me know. Um, yeah, that's, and follow us on Instagram at Punch King World or Facebook at Punch King. Um, Great videos out there, our products, they should say enough about everything that we do.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming out and spending some time with me and sharing your story. And because I know you're a busy guy, but appreciate it for sharing your stories on your secrets to health, wealth, and also being kick ass, my man. You're a ninja.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Joe. Hey, anytime, let me know.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, take it easy. Bye.